Week 8, my Week 8 picks here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. No Iowa game to talk about this week, so maybe a bit of a cleared mind for myself as I make these picks. I am doing quite well in picks straight up. Picks against the spread could improve, and never really picked against the spread. I'll admit that heading into this year, but again, I think solid straight up. So again, every Friday, if you're seeing this late Friday night or early Saturday morning, every Friday night, I submit my college football picks for the weekend ahead, both the spreads and the just straight up picks. So let's run through some of the bigger games in college football this weekend and make our picks. First of all, OSU, that's Ohio State, taking on Indiana. The Buckeyes favored by 19.5. This was a tough one for me. I've got the Hoosiers covering. They looked good last week against Michigan State. I like the Hoosiers to cover, OSU to win. Louisville and BC, I like BC to win outright and cover the 6.5 point spread. Louisville's 6.5 point favorite spread, I should say. Clemson taking on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh favored by 3.5. Clemson obviously having a down year. Pittsburgh is right now, I believe, the favorite to win the ACC. I mean, what an incredible feat that would be if they could somehow find a way to win that conference. I like Clemson to win this game. Pittsburgh is favored by 3.5. They've got the home field advantage here, but I like the Clemson Tigers. How about Minnesota taking on Maryland? Tagovailoa and Maryland struggling ever since that Iowa loss. They are in desperate need of a win, and boy, Iowa fans would love to see Maryland win this game. It would help Iowa's strength of schedule, their strength of victory as well, but it would also help Iowa in the race for the West Division title. I like Minnesota to win and to cover the 5.5 point favorite spread. Michigan taking on Patty Fitz and Northwestern. This is a big number. Michigan favored by 23.5. There's no way I'm taking Michigan. And maybe I'm sure the people in Vegas, there's a reason why they know something we don't, right? That's always been told. This is again a new territory for me picking spreads this year. It's a different feat. I talked about this exact issue with Mark Rogers of the Voice of College Football earlier this week about picking spreads versus picking straight up. But anyways, back to the pick. I like Patty Fitz. I just can't bet against him, and they did play well last week in beating Rutgers. But I do like Michigan to win this game outright, but Northwestern against the spread. North Carolina State and Miami. Hurricanes really struggling. Manny Diaz is on the hot seat. I like North Carolina State to win this game. They are favored by 2.5. They will cover that 2.5 point spread. Oregon taking on UCLA. Oregon was the hot commodity a few weeks ago. UCLA's favored by 1.5. I like Oregon to win and to cover. How about this game taking place right here in Ames, Iowa State and Oklahoma State? Maybe the biggest game, well, certainly the biggest game in the Big 12, one of the biggest games in the country tomorrow. There's not a whole lot of top 10 matchups, really. In fact, I'd have to look at the rankings. I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to the rankings. I guess I could look at it since we're talking about it here. I don't believe there are any top 10 matchups. I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't see any top 10 matchups. I don't even see any top 25 matchups. So, this might be the biggest game in college football because I think Iowa State is probably a top 25 team. They're going to have a chance to beat number 8 in the country, undefeated Oklahoma State. And how about this? The Cyclones favored by 6.5. I like the Cyclones to win and to cover that number. Alabama taking on Tennessee. Bama favored by 24.5. Again, coaching matters, and how do I bet against, or I shouldn't say bet, but how do I pick against Nick Saban here? I like Alabama to win this and to cover. How about Wisconsin, Purdue? That's the biggest game if you're an Iowa fan. Although there are several games. The Minnesota-Maryland game is a game for Iowa fans to watch. Certainly Iowa State, Oklahoma State, and this one, Wisconsin, Purdue. Iowa plays Wisconsin next week after losing to Purdue this past week. Wisconsin favored by 2.5 at home. I like the Badgers actually to cover this spread, not by much, but to win outright and cover the 2.5. Bucky wins heading into the game against Iowa. Ole Miss taking on LSU. I think the Tigers will play for Ed Orgeron. If there are players on that team that like him, they seem to rally around him against Florida. I like LSU to win and to cover against they're 9.5 point underdogs, but I like LSU to win this game at home. USC taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored by 7.5. I like the Trojans against the spread. I like Notre Dame straight up. Let's head over to the Big Ten for the other Big Ten games that we did not already pick, specifically number 7, Illinois playing host to Illinois. This game's at 11 a.m. on ESPN, on ABC. ABC for Illinois and Penn State. Penn State favored by 24 points. I like Penn State to win this game, but not to cover. Obviously, Illinois has had a weird season. Week 1, they beat Nebraska. They're looking great. Then they lose to, Texas San Antonio. Struggled against Charlotte. It never really have recovered, but 24 points is a pretty wide margin here for a Penn State team that's dealing with injuries still. I like Illinois to cover, but they're not going to win this game at Happy Valley. I like the Nittany Lions. And, of course, we pick the other games. I want to run through some times for you, some TV start times and some networks here. So, Northwestern Michigan, 11 a.m. That game's on Fox Saturday. Wisconsin, Purdue, 2 p.m. Big Ten Network. Maryland, Minnesota's 2:30 p.m. on ESPN2, and Ohio State, Indiana, 6:30 p.m. on ABC Saturday Night Football. It's a bye week for Hawkeye fans. If you're here, you're an Iowa fan, you're listening, appreciate the support, and thank you for checking in for our Week 8 picks here at From the Hawkeye of the Storm. We will, of course, be back next week for coverage. We'll be out. We'll be with you. We'll be with you on Sunday. We'll be with you talking with Coach Don Patterson over at Iowa at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. So if you want to get your bye week fill, if you're an Iowa fan, 7 p.m. Central Time Sunday over at Iowa at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. But thank you for listening to our Week 8 picks. We'll be back with Week 9 a week from tonight. That will be October 29th as we preview Iowa, Wisconsin, and a whole gauntlet of games heading into Week 9. Thank you for listening, and have a great evening. Enjoy some college football this weekend.